champs from Chicago be screaming all in. You are now tuned in to the Born to Win podcast. Champions. Yup, champs. The champs from Chicago be Singleton. All in. Champs. I'm born to win. Born to win. The champs from Chicago be screaming all in. Born to Win podcast. Champions. All in. The champs from Chicago be getting it in. We promoting the champs, spreading awareness of its mission amongst a large listening audience. No interference. This organization uniquely equipped to provide a transformative influence over the youth and adults alike. The champs in the business, they helping and saving lives. They gon' be featuring special guests in all fields, such as business and law, education for real, medical, fashion, sports, entertainment. You know the deal with the arts. See all the love in the heart. Hate cannot split us apart. A champion smart. You be humble with times getting hard. Got a mentor, they help them get sharp. Champs, all in. No win. Let's go. The champs from Chicago be screaming all in. You are now tuned in to the Born to Win podcast. Champions. The champs from Chicago be getting it in. Mr. VONDALE Singleton. Much love to all the sides. And the champs of Chicago. The champs from Chicago be screaming all in. We champions. The champs from Chicago be getting it in. Born to Win podcast. I'm born to win. The champs from Chicago be screaming all in. We champions. The champs from Chicago be getting it in. I'm born to win. The champs from Chicago be screaming all in. Champions. The champs from Chicago be getting it in.
I'm Pierre Johnson, and I have the pulse of perseverance to get here.
My name is Dr. Maxim Adair, and I also have the pulse of perseverance.
I am Josie Simeon, and I have the pulse of perseverance.
See, in this country, we got a lot of brothers that are taking one knee for the cause. We couldn't sit down and let this stuff happen. We had to rise up.
Follow us on IG at Pulsar P3, on Facebook at the official Pulsar P3, so we can shift the culture and change the narrative together.
Tuning in to the Born to Win podcast show with VONDALE Singleton.
What's up, everybody? We are here at the Born to Win podcast. We are live. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. I'm super excited to have the Pulse of Perseverance doctors on this live podcast. And look, it's super important that you share this link right now. Hey, listen, this is our first time doing this. If it's a little choppy, we're going to get through it. We are recording, so it'll be a replay of this podcast. So make sure you log in right now. YouTube, Facebook, Periscope. We are live right now. Please share. It's very important that you hear this information that's going to be coming up. I have the Pulse of Perseverance doctors here with us. I got Dr. Max right here. What's up, Dr. Max?
What's up, Brother VONDALE? How are you this evening?
Man, thank you. Thank you so much for joining in, man. Why don't you quickly tell the story of who you are?
Well, my name is Dr. Maxim Adair. I'm just the East Coast kid, born in Brooklyn, New York, raised in Washington, D.C. Had a dream to become a physician.
and follow my dream and chase that dream, man. And along that way, there were a lot of bumps, hurdles, and bruises along the road. Got scraped up a couple of times, but, found a strong team and picked myself up. And, before you know it, here I am. I'm a board certified cardiac anesthesiologist, man. And just doing my part to try to change this narrative for young Black men out here in America.
No, man, y'all doing more than just doing your part. We do have Dr. Joe and Dr. Pierre on the call. So we definitely going to be pulling them in here shortly. But man, you grew up, born and raised in Brooklyn, New York.
Yeah, man.
And transitioned to DC. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, that the background behind that was because my parents, they divorced pretty early in my childhood. And during that divorce, my dad, he moved to Washington, D.C. And of course, when he moved to D.C., my older brother and I went with him. And it really wasn't that much different from what we had in New York during that time. During that time, there were a lot of things that were going on in our communities, in our environments. Some of the same things that are happening today when it comes to, violence and all of the negative things that I don't like to touch too much upon, but it's a similar narrative that a lot of Black men have. And being in DC, I was just raised by a strong Black male. And, he kind of, he showed me things as he did what a strong Black male should do, which is, show a better way for his children, So, under his guidance and under the guidance and tutelage of, some positive, productive people around me, I was able to catapult myself to another level. And so, here I am.
Boom. You heard it there, baby. Dr. Max. We got Dr. Pierre here from the south side of Chicago. Tell us your story, Doc.
Born and raised outside Chicago, man. My parents were addicted to drugs as a kid. Had problems early on. Ended up spending a couple years out in the suburbs in Glenwood with my aunt for grammar school, which really kind of helped me build a foundation. And then I moved back to Chicago my freshman year of high school. Went to St. Martin de Porres, which is now Gwendolyn Brooks and Roseland. It was tough, man. It was, I always knew I had a dream to become a physician. I knew that from a very early age, but, as we all know, coming from, C.P.S. or which my school turned into a C.P.S. by the time I graduated, the education is just, substandard. So by the time I graduated and got to Xavier University, it was a struggle. It was a huge struggle. And that's why I met these brothers. We were all three of us just struggling, just with dreams to do bigger than ourselves. But, way behind as far as getting there. So we just, we gravitated each other and just pushed each other to higher levels, man. And we just grinded it out and, ended up, just going through the phases and grinding out every single phase. Like nothing was handed to us. Nothing was easy. We just had setback after setback, but we just knew that we was going to persevere and get to our goals and our higher levels of excellence, man. We just always knew that, and we just kept pushing each other. That's my story in a nutshell.
Hey, man, cool. Well, we got Dr. Joe. Let me first of all say this, man, thank you so much. You are demonstrating the pulse of perseverance right now, brother. I want to tell you that right now publicly. Man, you're going through a storm right now, but look, you here, man. So introduce yourself, man, and tell us your story, Dr. Joe.
I'm Dr. Joe Simeon. First off, I say thank you, man. It's definitely a tough time, but when you're doing something positive, it kind of lifts your spirit. So that's always a good thing. I'm Dr. Joe. I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana, born and raised. And my story is just like any inner city person. It's just I had many obstacles in my life, but I refused to let them be my shortcomings, and I used them as stepping stones to further myself, build myself up. And just like Dr. P said, as the time went, I met them, and they just basically pushed me to higher levels. and the story is just written from there. You know, we all became board certified. We all work in the community, helping people, helping others, supporting our family, and it's just been a great thing from there.
Man, that's what's up. You know, I met these brothers, man, a few years ago, and I'm gonna tell everybody a quick story. They were getting ready to release the Pulse of Perseverance book. By the way, if you don't have that book, you need to get the book. Dr. Pierre, he hit me up, was like, hey, I want you to check out this book that we're about to come out with. It's called the Pulse of Perseverance, me and my brothers. And I was like, bet. It was a Microsoft Word document. The book wasn't even out officially. And man, when I tell you, y'all, look, I started reading through the document. I couldn't stop. I hit Dr. Pierre up. I was like, this is a game changer right here, man. It's going to change the world. Y'all stories were phenomenal. So get this. I'm like, man, y'all have to come and share the book at the C.H.A.M.P. Saturday. So Dr. Pierre was like, that's done. So, man, let me tell you that these guys are who they say they are. Let me tell you why. So it was a Saturday. It was a Saturday morning. They supposed to come. Come to find out, I don't know, it was snowing or something in Louisiana. They flights got canceled. These guys jumped in the car and drove all the way to Chicago. How many hours did y'all drive? 14 hours. Come on, y'all.
14, hey, look, 14 straight, brother.
14 straight hours. And walk through the door on time.
They let me know about that all the time too.
Come on, man. And so when they showed up, they showed out, y'all. And that was like maybe the first gathering at the C.H.A.M.P. session of the Pulse of Perseverance. So, man, you know, that right there, I was just like, the respect level went to a whole nother level. I already respected y'all at a high level. But, man, when I heard that and y'all came in, and I had to let everybody know, like, hey, look, these are not just average, everyday doctors. Here's the thing about y'all, brothers. Y'all been through the struggle, right? Y'all persevered. Y'all made it out. And now y'all giving back at a very, 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 very high level. And so, man, to all the health workers out there, the first responders on the front lines of this pandemic, man, shout out to everybody out there, but y'all three specifically, man. So anything that you want people to know just kind of about y'all bond, how did y'all meet? Talk a little bit about that.
And we, you know, it's ironic. So Joe is from New Orleans. So kind of at our school, typically people that are from, you know, the city, just like most other schools, like they don't typically stay on campus. But me and Max, we transplant. So like I'm from Chicago, he's from DC, by way of New York. So we stayed in the freshman dorms. So you know, we met and we gravitated early, like you know, in New York, Chicago rivalry. So like we just having just arguments and conversations about, you know, New York and Chicago sports all day long, like from sports to hip hop, you name it. We just kind of gravitate each other, talk to each other about that. And one day, and we would see each other in class, like we kept it like that. We would see each other in class, and we didn't really talk about school too much, you know. We just kept it, you know, friendly about like our cities. And then we had came out, I think it might have been like a drill or something that we had. And, you know, we just got to talking and just like, we both got crushed. And we was just like, yo, like, we both are like, you know, we looked at each other like, we doing bad, but like, man, this is new for us. Like, wow, what the hell's going on? Like, we need to link up and bond each other. So the next thing we were in the library, you know, we had bumped each other to each other at the library. And we was just like, man, what you doing, or whatever. We just got the conversation. And then that's how everything opened up with our dreams, our aspirations, and our goals as far as, you know, what we wanted to do. And man, from then we just hit it off, man. It was just like just instantaneous as far as like what we needed to do to push each other to drive. That happened really at the library. And then from there, like within like a week or two, we just saw Joe at about 2 tables down in the library. Because once me and Max figured out what we wanted to do, we was like there every day. It was like, you know, clockwork. After class, we there. We pushing each other. We saw Joe a week or two later. He was there sitting by himself with his books all sprawled out about 1 or 2 tables from us. And we just sparked a conversation. And we was like, man, this dude is pretty much just us, man. I mean, and once we started talking, it turned into an hour, 2 hours. We was just filling each other out. And then that was it. It was just like, man, we just formed that bond literally right there at the library on the 2nd floor of Xavier University. And from then on, man, we've been pushing each other ever since, man. That was 98, you know, and we still in it, man.
Any brothers want to add to that? Anything you remember about y'all brothers? How old were you guys?
Yeah, I just want to jump in on that.
18, man.
Yeah,
well,
18.
When me and Max was 18,
20.
but Joe,
Yeah,
you was 20.
Yeah, but it's been almost 20 years, you know, and it's just kind of like, it's true. You know, I'm sitting here and I'm getting goosebumps because I don't know, this wasn't even done on purpose, but I'm looking on Joe's live and he has, you know, those plaques on his wall, and, you know, you can see mine behind my wall, and, you know, this is like a representation of this, like, you know, when you form the proper team, you know, you throw up championships, you know, and it just shows you how, like, when you have the right people around you, just anything is possible, man. And it's just amazing how, when, you know, every time Pierre talks about that story, it's true. You know, you never know who's going to be put in your life and for what reasons. And I think the thing that bonded us the most, it's not just about like the cities we were from. It's a bond. That bond was built through a struggle that we had all endured prior to even just getting to that point. And I think that's why our bond was so special. You know, you can be in 3 different cities and you can have different backgrounds, different parents, different situations, but there's a similarity in those upbringings. And we found those similarities in our upbringings, and we just knew, just looking in each other's eyes, that something, you know, we never knew that how far it would take us. But now we're sitting here with plaques and trophies on our wall and able to take care of our families and help kids that have never met us a day in our lives. Like, it's, you know, it's just powerful. It's powerful stuff, man, when you really think about it. And even though we wrote that book, it's just like the stories in our lives. It's like every day you live your life, and it's just like a different page in your journey. And our chapters aren't even done yet. And we're still making, you know, we're trying to make history. We are making history, you know.
Man, and we had a void, man. Back just real quick. We had a void, like, we didn't know it at the time, but there was something significant missing in our lives. And then when we linked, it was like looking in a mirror almost. And it was just like, man, it was like, there it is. Like that's what I need right there. But a lot of the thing that we see with kids a lot, and we see with adults, man, it's like people aren't really honest about that void. And, you know, when they see the blessing in front of them, or when they see like God puts what you need in front of you, you know, you don't pay attention to it, or you're not, you know, humble or honest enough to say, man, that's exactly what I need, and let me gravitate to it. That's what I want to say. I'll let Joe just try, man.
The only thing I'll piggyback off of that, and that's going off a little bit of what P said, and definitely what Max said. And some things are just destined to happen, and it comes with a purpose and a reason. And I take my situation in general. Just like Pierre said, I was from New Orleans. I had already been through my struggles, and trust was always an issue for me. So when I was sitting in that library, I was thinking about, okay, I'm going to have to grind this by myself. I'm going to have to figure this out. But it's amazing how, you know, God in general puts things in front of you, put people in front of you that you can relate to, you can bind to, and then bring you to higher heights. You know, it's just amazing how those connections actually happen. And it goes, and, you know, when we talk to kids, we always stress the number one is put yourself around like-minded people. And when you do that, and just put yourself in that surroundings, whether it be going to church, whether it be doing whatever you do in a positive realm, things are going to come in front of you. Those positive people are going to come in front of you, and you just got to be open-minded and willing to basically have that connection with.
Yeah, and that's the thing, man. Yep. Real quick, you know, that's the thing that I love about you brothers, is that you guys had a plan to move forward. Like, we know the history. You talked about the history, the things that you had to overcome. But the powerful thing that you showing the world is that brothers can come together. So much fighting and so much bickering and so much jealousy. We are already losing on so many different fields. We need more brothers coming together. And you brothers decided to come together at an early age and say, you know what, man, let me go ahead. And the thing that I love hearing y'all say all the time is, man, we gonna change the code. We gonna shift the narrative, right? And so that's exactly like when I hear y'all talk, you guys are actually implementing. You ain't just talking about it. Y'all did it and you're doing it. What were you going to say, Dr. P?
Man, I was just going to say, like, man, because kids get it kind of confused, and they will say, like, man, you all weren't as bad as you say you were. Like, you weren't at a level where you felt down and out. Like, when I speak for all three of us, man, we was toast. You know, to put it in a lack of a better term, like literally, like, man, we would like, you know, D's, F's, like pulling out our hair, trying to figure it out, man. Just like clinical depression, real talk, bro. We was like depressed, all of us, because we didn't know. We just know, like, man, we not going home. That failure is not an option. Like, I got to keep doing it, but I don't know how I'm gonna make it. So when we met, it was just like, man, seriously, it was like clinical depression that we had to pull each other out of, man. So when people think like, nah, we had it better than that, man. Literally, man, if you read the book, it's tried and true. We was done toast at one point in time.
And that's just another thing to touch on about what you said, VONDALE. It's true, man. It's like, and I don't care who you are as a person, and because there's a false narrative out there. And it's almost like a false theme out there. You know, you hear it all the time, particularly in our community. And people say, oh, self-made, you know, I did this, I, right? And I don't care how successful the person is. It's like nobody becomes successful on their own. And you have to have, you know, different people and different steps in your journey who are vested in making sure you catapult yourself to a whole nother level. And the quicker you realize that, particularly with our youth and the young bros out there, man, the quicker you understand that, and the quicker you learn that, and the quicker you put your ego to the side, especially in a time like this where the information comes quick. You know, I don't care what your career path is, what your passion is, the times we're living in, the information comes quick, man. And the quicker you can put your ego, your pride to the side and really just chop it up and get the information that you need, by whether it's, you know, humbling yourself or whether it's, you know, helping the next brother out, the quicker you will become more successful in whatever it is that you do.
Hey, man. Hey, so real quick, like you just brought up something. I mean, we all going through this pandemic. I was sharing the other day on my good friend Kelly Wright's show. He was asking me about like Chicago in particular. And I was saying, like, yes, we are in a pandemic, but we are also, and we have been in an epidemic, right? High gun violence. Hasn't got as much pub, but it's still happening. So, like, man, as professional medical professionals, what kind of information can you provide for us and the listener on like what's going on? What is COVID-19? How do we get the proper information and apply the information for ourselves and our families?
I guess I could start first because that's it's a heavy question. But of course, COVID-19, it's basically a subset of a virus called the coronavirus, right? And what people have to realize is that the coronavirus is a very generic term for the common cold. But the difference with COVID-19 is it's basically a subset or strand of that the world has never seen before, right? And there is, I don't know, for lack of a better term, some speculation about the source of where it came from, but none of that even matters now, right? Because it's a worldwide issue. And of course, in the beginning, when it was in different parts of the world, a lot of people weren't taking it seriously, particularly people in, our community or wherever, different parts of America, depending on, where you were. But now, as we've seen, as they've basically broken down the statistics and the data, it's affecting our community at, a disproportionate measure, right? So here we are now, and the question becomes, it's like, what has it done? Well, what it's done is it's basically shined a light on the issues that are going on, that have been going on in America for centuries, right? When it comes to care, access to care, how it's spread, whose lives actually matters in regards to who's going to be able to survive. And this is the state that we're dealing with now. Both in Chicago, I know for a fact, 70% of the deaths are African American. The same can be said for Louisiana, right? It fluctuates by the day, but at one point, over 70% of the COVID deaths were people of African descent and African Americans. So we definitely have an issue on our hands. And I just want, anybody who's listening, why does it affect all of us? Even if you're somebody, a couple of things that I want to touch upon in regards to this. And please interrupt me, fellas, if I'm talking too much. But one thing is that with the virus, why is it so important that we try to do our very best to self-quarantine as much as possible? Is because that we have a very vulnerable population out there who we treat every day. And in our communities, that population includes those who are diabetic, those who have other medical comorbidities like hypertension, high blood pressure. And another comorbidity in our community that affects us tremendously is obesity. So these are all things that when you take those comorbidities into play, and then you take also the community, which the community within our community who is suffering the most are the elderly. It's not just about you yourself. You can be young and you can think that, I'll be fine because that's what the data's saying. However, the problem is in our community, we're sharing households with our parents and our grandparents, and those are truly the most vulnerable people. So if we take selfish measures and we don't think about our grandmothers and our grandfathers and our uncles and our aunts, that's how this disease will continue to spread. So I'll let my brothers jump in right now.
So that's one thing I would say in reference to that also, just to piggyback on it a little bit. How does that come in involving the African American community? I think it has become an eye awakener. And the reason why is because now we see front and center that they have diseases and viruses out there that can infect our whole community as a whole. And then when that happens, if we don't pay attention to it and understand that controlling our hypertension or our high blood pressure, taking diabetes serious and obesity serious, if we don't commit to that now, then the next virus may come and just wipe us out even more. So it's something that we got to be aware of. And it also brings back what we as Pulse of Perseverance really focus on, is that how can we get people that look like us to tune in and want to care about their health in a positive way. And that's focused on getting people that look like them in those fields. So that's why it becomes important that we continue to strive to bring forth those great doctors in the African American community, those lawyers in the African American community. We need to bring forth that. So education is going to be a big factor through all of this.
What COVID has done is it has exposed the biggest lie that our country tries to tell, and that lie is that that because you have a particular race, you're genetically predisposed to certain bad things that happen. Because you're Black, you're predisposed to hypertension. Because you're Black, you're predisposed to diabetes. Because you're Black, you're going to have a lower life expectancy. When the truth of the matter is, what COVID has shown us is that that's not true. what is true is that we all are just seeing this virus for the first time. We're just seeing it. Like, so nobody's been exposed. Whites, Asians, Hispanics, we all, it's basically on the same playing field where we're just seeing this for the first time. So there's no way on God's green earth that it's just singling us out as Black people more than it's singling everybody else out. And so what that's saying is just saying that there is a true divide in not only resources, but in attention, into care, into actual, I can't even think of a better word than caring, but they just don't care about what's happening to us as a community. And for everybody else, as a pandemic, it's heightened for us. This is an epidemic. It's like the way that it's impacting us as Black people and hitting us at such an alarming rate. There should be, a multitude of resources. There's no difference from this for Black people than 9/11 or, a bombing or a mass shooting, like or a hurricane or levees breaking in Louisiana. Like, there's no difference in what's happening to Black people in these communities now than what a natural disaster should be. So with that being said, why are we not having a flood or a ton of resources into these lower income communities so that we can, stop these numbers? Like, I'm at a hospital now, in Chicago. I'm in 2 hospitals now. And literally, this past week was the first time that they start giving us, like, as providers, masks. As a provider, I'm a doctor, and they're just now, a month plus into this thing, giving us N95 masks to take care of these patients. That doesn't happen up north. That doesn't happen where the population doesn't look like us. So what it's telling us is that this is a line drawn in the sand that that America is basically saying, you're not truly that important, and changing your circumstance is not a priority of America. And nothing else that we learn as a people, because this too shall pass. I keep saying that. This is going to pass, whether it be a month, whether it be 2 months, whether it be 3 months. I don't know how long it is. None of us know, and no medical professional actually knows. We can speculate, but it's going to pass. And when that time passes, what are we going to do as a people? Like, if we continue to go through the status quo as a people after all of this, then we're fools, because what we've shown, they're not going to change it. We have to change this from within. We have to, how our parents and our grandparents made changes, like, they made America make changes for us, right? How did they do that? They unified. They said, all right, well, fine. If you're not going to give us our money in our schools, you're not going to give us money to do these in our communities. You're taking taxes, right? Every time I go, in my community, I wake up, my mom got tickets on her car. You go through a red light, they're giving you tickets. You got all type of stuff going on in this city, but not the resources, right? So if we don't demand those resources when this is all over, we're fools. And we have to do that. And we do that by impacting the dollar. We say, listen, all right, well, if we're not going to get no money, or we're not going to get any resources or whatever, how about we just don't buy this for a day? How about we start boycotting? How about we start, not just protesting, but actually impacting the dollar of the masses and make them change, right? They got to adjust once we make the move. We just can't continue to do what we're doing that happened before this. This has to wake us up. This has to be a wake up call for us to get together and actually start moving as a cohesive unit or community of people, like we did 50 years ago, to make significant changes. We got complacent, we got comfortable, we everything that our parents and our grandparents sacrificed for to get us here, we cool now. Now we lax. Now it's all about self. We gotta have the same mentality that they had in the 60s right here in 2020.
Wow. Anything you want to add?
I think that what that says is that we need to be proactive for getting resources, and we need to be proactive on taking care of ourselves and our families and our village. And that means, even for myself, exercise, eating properly, taking your medications accordingly, addressing mental health. All those things need to be on the forefront.
Like I'll give you an example, Vondale. Like at Mercy Hospital, where I was just on call yesterday, they had a mini protest about, basically doing just that, about resources. And I commend those people that was out there yesterday about resources, making Mercy a actual trauma center to where, like, the folks in the community, like Black folks, can actually go and actually get treated appropriately, and putting the resources in there. And they were also complaining about, the lack of, food and produce in our communities, which is a whole nother reason why we're having these issues. And that those efforts were completely valued. The problem, it was less than 100 people out there, right? That's the problem. That's the problem. We need to wake up and be like, yo, this is the move. We all need to be out there. And if they don't hear us, we need to start impacting a dollar to make them hear us.
Wow. You know what? Listen, if you out here, you watching this live, please share right now. Somebody need to hear this information, because it's one thing to say, you know what, I don't want to change, but it's another thing not to have the information to change. They're giving you information that we can do something about. And listen, this is about empowerment. We're not asking for a handout. We're asking for a hand up. And it's a difference, right? And so we have to get the information. We have to apply the information. And then we have to spread that information. So as Dr. Joe talked about, let's help ourselves. Put your mask on first, right? And then you can go ahead and put the mask on everybody else. So, like, we've never seen this before, as you guys alluded to. We are in this. But what's your take on just this mental health component right now? There are a lot of people who are really wrestling with their identity right now. A lot of people have been laid off their jobs right now, and they're trying to provide and navigate that situation. But what are some things that we can do to take care of our mental health right now that you would encourage us to do?
Well, one thing, that I think, and I definitely want to be sensitive to this, because, I know now some of us live, we look at things from a different lens because of our privilege, right? And one thing, if you have the opportunity, if you live in a neighborhood that you deem is safe, like you're comfortable going outside, just taking walks, man. Taking walks with, if you got kids, spend this time with your kids, just with proper social distancing, of course, but just getting a breath of fresh air. It's amazing what, just a breath of fresh air and some sunlight can do for just your mental health and just in general. And the way you feel about your day. The other thing is that one thing that the technology does for us is it does allow us to stay in contact with people that we might have lost touch with, over, through life's travels, right? But just something like this is just powerful when you're not here, Vondale, and me and the fellas can, get together, even though we're not physically together, but when our kids can see each other and their eyes just light up because they see, they consider each other cousins. Just keeping that close contact with the people that you deem as important in your life. They're very simple things, but they're things that we take for granted. Now, I definitely don't want to miss the aspect of what human touch can do, but let's use the social media to our advantage, and whether that's in regards to keeping in touch, whether that's in regards to sharing the proper information with each other in our communities, and make sure, we can dispel misinformation, because we have a lot of that going on too. But those are just three things that just come immediately to mind about things that we can do right now, because like the bro said, like, this too shall pass. But at the same time, I also want this everybody to be aware of this. This is a virus, okay? This is not a bacteria, and just like any other virus, it's not going anywhere, right? We can try to flatten the curve and temper expectations and A lot of the people in the scientific community are out there, and everybody's at work trying to find the proper combination of medications for people who are acutely ill. But there's some segment of this, and this too shall pass, but we have to get used to the potential that COVID-19 won't be eradicated off the face of the earth. We'll just know how to manage it better in the future.
And then too, like, a couple of things that I would say. Number one, be very, and this is hard, man. Like, this is one thing that really just drives me. I was watching, there are some educated fools out here, right? So be very careful about what you listen to. Be very careful about the information that you're getting. I just saw this doctor basically rambling about, how this is just, it's foolishness. It's a hoax. Vaccines are garbage, and like vaccines don't make any sense. I'm like, and you realize that, this is an opportunistic time for people. This is a time where people are taking the opportunity to try to make a name for themselves, trying to make themselves stand out. Realize this is real. This is real. People are dying. Right now in this hospital where I sit in this chair downstairs, there are people on the vent. There are trucks outside where people are getting hauled out of here, right, in body bags. Like, this is real. So don't let a fool get on the internet and believe that this is just a hoax and it's okay. It's not okay. This is something different that we've never seen before, and realize you have to take the precautions. When this vaccine does come out, right? Everything that we've had, all the plagues that we've had, from measles, mumps, rubella, smallpox, yellow fever, all of these things, we've got over them with vaccines, right? And being exposed. So when it comes to us again, we're ready. Don't be a fool and be like, vaccines are there to kill us, and people are making them. Like, come on, man. Like, please listen to people that have a logical sense and brains out here. Like, we not try to hurt you. Like you got to ask somebody, like, are you from where I'm from? Or are you, like, if you really got a question, like, ask people like us. I'm not going to tell you nothing that I'm not going to tell my mama, my sister, my cousin, or my family. I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm going to do. I'm not going to tell you to take something that I wouldn't tell my own daughter and my son to take. So that's who you need to listen to. Number one. Number two, like, as we navigate through this thing, and I think the initial question was like, what you were asking, like, what we need to do to get past this or whatever.
Mental health.
Yeah, from the mental health perspective. Yeah.
Mental health.
Like, a couple different things, and I'm gonna be real brief. Number one, I will never be insensitive to anybody as far as like their finances are concerned. Most of our community are not prepared to withstand months without making money, right? That's something that we try to teach. That's something that the three of us have been blessed to have, the ability to withstand such a hit. But we understand that many people cannot. So one, we have to learn how important in the future, once we get out of this, how important in the future with financial planning and how we spend our money and putting and structuring ourselves for tomorrow, and to be able to take this hit for when things happen like this. But as for now, I heard somebody say, like, look, if you got credit cards, max them out. Like, don't go hungry. Like, like you utilize, like, don't worry about debt and stuff right now. Now's the time to feed your family and get through it. If you're not able to work or what have you, take the credit cards out and charge it to the game, worry about it later. But like, don't worry about the debt right now is what I'm trying to say. Like, you feed your families the best way that you possibly know how. And two, as far as, just a mental health perspective, focus on your life and yourself. Like, if nothing else, this time is an opportunity for you to reflect on how to improve yourself, how to make yourself better, how to venture off into things that you always say, I don't have time for, I can't do this. Like, you know, if you wanted to be, you know, a barber, you know, and the people in your house start cutting hair, start looking at YouTube videos.
Now is the time. That's right.
Now is the time. You will never have another time like this in history with your life where you don't have anything else to do but to focus on yourself, your life, and improving the things that you need to do to advance your life. So take full advantage of this. If you're not every day while you taking, like, I know Netflix is good, but don't take 8 hours a day watching Netflix. Take 4 or 5 hours. Just like we tell these kids, like, if you don't know what you want to do when you get older, take 30 minutes, an hour a day trying to research what you're trying to do. Right now, you have the time and the opportunity, and with the social media as well as Google and all the search engines you have, you can really put together a plan to make your life better. So when this is over, you have a master plan to advance your life and to get to a higher level.
Vondale, I want to go on a I think it's very important what Max and Pierre is saying, but the only footnote that I'll put on is this is not the time for you to stop any medications that you're on. It is very important that if you have mental health problems and you're on medication, that you find the resources to continue those medications, because we have to keep in mind that one thing is not going to stop. You can have a medical problem, a mental health problem, but if you do something illegal, they're going to treat you as if you don't have a medical problem and you don't have a mental health problem. You're going to still do the time. So this is definitely the time that if you're on medication, take your medication. If you're not on medication and you feel like something is going on, speak with the physician that you're very comfortable with so that they can help you and assist you with medication if needed. And one of these myths that we have to really talk about, and I'll be very brief on it, and that is just because you are on antidepressants don't make you crazy.
Correct.
And number two, it doesn't mean that you're going to be on it for life. This is a time that many people throughout the world is going through some mental challenges. So take advantage of that. And if it's needed, see your physician.
Wow. So let me go to, because you guys said a couple things. Dr. Max, you talked about, hey, if conditions are safe enough, take a walk. Take a walk. Get some fresh air. Take a walk. Now, following precautions, social distancing, so on and so forth. And then Dr. Pierre.
Get some sun. Get some sun too, man.
Get some sun. Get some sun.
Vitamin D is real, bro.
Yeah, vitamin D is crucial. And then Dr. Pierre, you just kind of alluded to just kind of this whole idea of taking care of yourself from a financial standpoint. If you have to, hey, look, don't starve. You know, you're not working. The income is not coming in. Don't allow this whole fear to stop you from taking care of your everyday needs, your food, shelter, whatever we need to do legally. And here, this is my concern, fellas, and you can kind of let me know what you think about it. So my concern with school not being in session, which I believe was the right decision as an educator, and then our communities, born on the south side of Chicago, still live in the Chatham area. What I'm concerned about is kids are not in school, almost 500,000 kids, no jobs, then this whole survival mindset, like, man, if I have to poke somebody, I'm going to poke somebody because I got to eat. So what I'm trying to do is create platforms like this. I don't know what I'm doing, right? But I'm like, we need to do the Born to Win podcast. And what better people to have medical professionals, my brothers. Actually, I'm the 4th member of Post of Perseverance, if y'all didn't know that.
That's right.
That's right. But to have medical professionals that know what they're talking about, because we got to be careful where we get information from at this time. Because I was hearing like, oh, at first it was like, hey, the COVID-19 don't affect black people. Right. And so people were not taking it serious. You had youth out parading in the flesh, people out, and then all of a sudden the numbers start coming back with a high number. It was going ridiculous with the number of deaths in our black community. So and then what I hear Dr. Joe talking about is, hey, look, if you're on an antidepressant, this is not the time to stop, because people are trying to find coping mechanisms during this time to deal with mental health that are not healthy. You exasperate an issue or a situation if you're not taking care of that situation. And so, guys, I'm going to go to a couple questions because, man, our time is moving fast. So let me see if I can pull this question up real quick here, because I think it's really important that as we navigate this information, that we kind of like feed into some of the people in here. So like we talked a little bit about your journey that led into the medical field. We talked about coping. One question that I did have, I think this is a good one, is like we've been hearing like in the media how it's been described, the COVID-19 to us. But what can you share that's not being said in the media to translate to, let's talk about the 14 to 20-year-old who not really watching the news and they kind of out. How can you break it down to us, to that peer group?
Man, for the 14 to 20-year-old, like, and a lot of these kids, like even my own family, man, I got younger brothers, man, that aren't, they driving for Amazon or whatever, and I'm telling them, like, put your mask on, and they're not understanding that, yeah, it might not impact you, right? You may get it and it's not an issue, but you come to the house and our mother is here, right? She could die from this. It's all good until your grandma or your mama die, right? And until it impacts you in that framework, like you're not taking it seriously, but man, take it from all of us. Like, we are seeing people die from this, man. Like, people are, and it's not just older folks, it's some younger folks, it's some people that just have other health issues, whether it be bronchitis, whether it be asthma, whether it be some immunocompromised state like lupus or something like that. Like people are getting this and their reaction to it is not like yours, right? And those are the people that you are looking out for, and everybody has somebody like that in their family. So if you have it from a mindset that, I'm gonna be good or what have you, man, open your mind up and look at everybody in your family and realize that everybody in your family cannot take this virus like you're going to take it. And if you love them and you want them here and you want to keep, being able to talk to them and continue to interact, you need to take these precautions, because when they get it, it's going to be a completely different story.
And I just want to add to that just really quick, because I know we may be moving fast, but this is really war. That's how you got to look at it. We from sometimes, like they say, you know who your ops are. This is like the invisible op for the kids out there who's listening. It's something to where once you get it, you have no idea how your body's going to react to it. Because, and I don't want to get too much into the mechanism of action of this thing, but it's basically something that causes the cells, the immune cells in your body that usually fights off infection. It causes those cells to just attack everything. So they're not only attacking the cells that they think are bad, they're attacking your healthy cells too. And this is going on inside of your lungs. This is going on inside of the protective layers of your heart. This is going on inside of your kidneys. And so what we're seeing now, for the kids who think that, they don't think that they can get it. I've literally taken care of 6 patients who are younger than me, who are no longer here. Let me tell you what is the most sad thing about all of those situations, right? And this is going on across America. But there's nothing more heartbreaking than knowing that somebody who has a family, who's loved within their family, right? They're dying, they're sitting there dying, and their loved ones can't even come into the hospital to see them, to say their last wishes or their last prayers with them. That's heartbreaking, right? We're sitting here, you have nurses in our hospital right now who is just showing spouses, they're showing sisters, they're showing brothers, kids, aunts, uncles, whoever, they're showing them on Facebook Live their family member before they expire. That's heartbreaking. You have people out there right now who are dying from this, and they can't even get the proper send-off or the proper burial amongst their family members. That is the most heartbreaking thing, particularly when you're talking about families and you have patriarchs of families, matriarchs of families, people, young people such as us who are going before their time, who have succumbed to this disease, and they can't even get the proper send-off from all of their loved ones. That is the most heartbreaking thing, all right? And then, like Pierre said, you have situations where people think that, well, okay, well, I'm young, I'll take my chances. But again, the dynamics of our communities, and there's different levels of privilege, right? But when you think about it, there's a large fraction of Americans who live in spaces that are less than 1,000 square feet. So all it takes, this virus is so highly transmissible, and that's another thing. The virus is so highly transmissible. This is not something where you need to necessarily cough on somebody or sneeze on somebody to catch the virus. We can literally be sharing the same airspace, and it will travel, and you can contract it. So this is something that is highly transmissible. So we're in spaces and we're sharing spaces. All it takes is for one person to be irresponsible or not take the proper precautions, and you are putting the lives and the health and the welfare of everybody around you at risk.
Anybody want to add to that? I know we got a couple more minutes to go, but I definitely want to take our time with this because this is an important conversation. And again, if you are tuned in and you're listening, I want you to share that link because it's going to replay. We need to get this information out. Listen to me. We need to get this information out. And I like what Dr. Joe just said. Look, hey, man, we have to make sure that we not categorizing ourselves, right? Thinking that, okay, it's always going to be this way. I'm on an antidepressant, this, that, and the other. And as Dr. Max alluded to, look, we in a war. So my pastor used to always say, you can never prepare for war in the middle of a war. The preparation for war takes place before the war. We all got caught off guard. And so what I'm telling everybody is this is an opportunity to reset. This is an opportunity to work on self. This is an opportunity to figure out what's going on in your head space, right? Deal with that. Don't run from it. Don't deny it. Deal with it head on. Get the proper help, right? Make the proper connections. The thing that hurts me, Dr. Pierre, that you just said, is we having resources that some of us, for whatever reason, not taking advantage of, not knowing what's going on. Can you just reshare that? And then, Dr. Joe, you can jump in, but can you just reshare the information? How do we get access to some of these resources? Is there a time? Is there a location? What can we do to get access to these resources?
Well, as far as information is concerned?
Yeah, as far as information, any opportunities to, a lot of people are wondering, if I'm feeling these symptoms, what's the process? How do I go about that process? Is there like a place where I can go get tested? Like, can you just kind of shed light? And then if you guys from Louisiana perspective can kind of share light, because we don't know who's watching right now in the world.
So one thing I will say is that one positive thing that I think COVID has done, at least for me, it has allowed a light to be shown on Black professionals and people that you didn't even really realize were out there just through social media. And it's allowed that the light to take away from athletes and entertainers and actually look to see who's out here in these trenches trying to help our communities and trying to make the world a better place. And these people are people of color. And it's been eye-opening for me, and it's been very enlightening. And I implore everybody that's out there. I mean, if people are on social media all the time or what have you, but you got to see these black professionals out here. It's black lawyers, it's black doctors, it's black engineers, it's black pretty much everything that are out here, that are giving their perspectives, that are giving their updates, that are giving their tips, what they're seeing, how they, are helping and impacting their community. Like, look and take your time and listen to some of the excellence that we have going on around here. And more importantly, have your kids look at it too, because imprinting is a huge thing. Instead of having your kids look at a lot of this garbage that's out here, look, I said it the other day, like, I can't see enough TikTok videos with professional black people. I can't see enough. It's awesome for me. Like, again, when in the world are you gonna see this ever again? So take advantage of it, enjoy it, and utilize it. But they are, in specific answers to your question, there are testing centers that are all around, that are not all around, but they're starting to pop up more and more. I know there are a few in Chicago that have popped up. There's one on like 167th where the like right by where you get your emissions testing from. I think that might be, I'm gonna miss, I don't know which suburb, but wherever that emissions testing might be Country Club Hills or what have you. But it's a drive up testing facility that's on the south side, that's south, that people can go to. But these centers are around. If you have any symptoms, whether you're coughing, whether you have a fever, whether you're short of breath, or you have any issues, hold that cough, Joe.
I'm like, that was on cue, man. That was on cue.
But if you have any of these symptoms, like, seriously, be honest about it. Like, that's the biggest thing. Like, be honest about it and realize that, be proactive, not only with your health, but with everybody's health around you. This is a time to really focus on, proper nutrition and exercise. Literally, like, me, and my friends have been, posting videos of workout or whatever. And I'm more so trying to motivate us. I'm trying to motivate us to, like, really realize that, our health is so important. And it's a fact that we have food deserts. It's a fact that we don't have access to produce and to healthy foods. But the things that we can control are, demanding that those foods are there, and if they're not there, being cognizant of the fact that they aren't there and taking extra steps to make sure that you have balanced diets, fruits, vegetables, lean meats, and put those in your diets instead of some of the garbage that we're putting into ourselves. And the thing that you can always control is exercise. Take time for yourself and exercise. You got plenty of time right now. The heart is the most important muscle in your body. Take care of it. Exercise it. Do those things now that we have the opportunity, and more importantly, just realize what's going on. If you don't hear nothing else I'll say, realize that there is like Dr. Max was just saying, it's a war. It's a war on our lives. It's a war on our livelihood, our communities, and realize that. How are we going to allow it to just continue to happen and continue to lose it? Or are we going to realize what's happening and take our steps within our families, within our collective communities to start fighting this war? And we do that with self and taking care of yourself and looking out for your health.
Boom.
The only thing I'll add to that is, in answering your question, the majority of people have a cell phone, or they have some form of way of getting on the internet. And I would encourage many to just go to the CDC website.
Yeah.
It's cdc.gov. And I think it'll be a great resource to just see what's going on. I mean, you have CNN, you have all those stations, but you can go directly to the source. You go to the CDC website. And to piggyback on what Max was saying, is that this is a war, and it goes beyond COVID-19. Remember that you can have a family member, just as myself, that has nothing to do with COVID-19. But if they pass away at this time, the sacrifice that you and your family is going to have to make is drastic. You know, for my situation, it's 10 people. That's all that can go to the funeral. That means my kids cannot even go see their grandfather. So that's personal to me. So it makes a difference to me personally that people take this serious. People wear their masks, they wash their hands, and they continue to socially distance themselves from people until we can get a hold of this.
Cool. We're going to take 1 or 2 questions from the audience, and then we're going to let these guys get out of here because they are extremely busy, and we are really, really grateful that they took their time, to get on here and share with everybody. So if you have any questions, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook, go ahead and send those right now. We want to make sure that we give everybody a chance to interact. Anybody got any questions?
They say them dudes talk too much, man.
No, it's some in here, but I'm trying to get some to pull in right now. But here's one that we had from just our perspective. If you guys could have like a gigantic billboard anywhere with anything on it as a message for millions or billions of people, what would it say and why?
Well, anytime you see us, it's we our story. We wrote a book. That book touched thousands of people, and there are quite a few themes within that book. But the story, it's bigger than the story, and it's bigger than us. Right? When you see us, we always want to know. We feel like we touch different communities, but particularly our community. We want, when those kids see us, we want them to know that like we're them and they're us. So we have our slogans and our mottos. We say it goes, time to change the narrative, time to shift the culture, and that holds a lot of weight in our opinion. Because it says a multitude of things, but you kind of have to be from where we come from to understand what that means. And so one of those things is just us as young Black men, we need to just take more charge of our communities, take more charge of our homes, take more charge of what's being fed out here to these kids, take more charge of everything, man. It's just everything in the media and how it portrays young Black men is peddled every night, and it's not only the world at large that absorbs that information. We absorb that information, so we need to find a way to continue to highlight the positive things that Black men are doing out here.
That's right.
And this is bigger than us, right?
That's
so
right.
This is just, this is bigger than you. This is bigger than, my brothers. This is us as a generation of people who are in between, who are those post-crack era babies and the future kids and what they're absorbing right now. And we're trying to push out a narrative saying, okay, there are multiple ways out here in society that you can thrive. And those ways of thriving are completely different from what's being fed to you daily on television. So we, like Pierre said, we applaud anybody who is a person of color, who comes from the struggle, who is out here doing something impactful to change the outcomes of how our kids are able to function in society. So we big up anybody, man. This movement is way bigger than us, and we just hope it continues to alter some of the statistics that we know that are out there. You know, it doesn't matter what profession that you're in. If you are in any highly advanced profession, I guarantee you, when you look at the data, African Americans make up 6% or less of that profession, where that is an atrocity because we make up at least 13 to 14% of this population in America. So there's still a tremendous amount of work that needs to be done. And we can't be fooled by the LeBrons and the Oprahs and the Jay-Z's and the Beyoncés that are out there who are, you know, they're putting on for the culture, but it's still a fallacy, right? So the fallacy that we live in this post-racial society and it's all good and, you know, this is, you know, America and you can do anything you want to do. Yes, you can do anything you want to do. However, if you're a person of color in this country, it takes a whole different level of intestinal fortitude and self-reflection to supersede and advance your entire community forward. And so when we say time to change the narrative, time to shift the culture, those are just the things that we are talking about.
Well, I'm much more blunt and less politically correct. My poster says, Black people, wake the hell up, man. Like, seriously, like, it's time out. Real talk. Like, either we're going to continue to accept the scraps that we are given, or we're going to unify and demand better for ourselves, our families, and our communities. You know, again, we have the power to make change if we unify together. It's too much isolation. It's too much worrying about self. We don't come from that. Our ancestors weren't on that. Our parents, our grandparents, they weren't on that. There was a sense of community and there was a sense of advancement and uplift that's in our DNA and it's in our genes. And we have to get back to that. And if nothing else shows you anything else, that these times have to bring that out of us. And that, you know, that's not just talk, it's action. And that action starts with us starting to make protests, starting to boycott again, starting to actually have advanced movements to make specific changes that we want to see happen. No, you know, the biggest problem is that, yeah, we don't have, you know, any Dr. Martin Luther Kings anymore. We don't have, you know, the Malcolm X anymore, but there are people, there are leaders that are out here that are trying to do that. Don't just watch them, get behind them, and let's unify and start working together and not against each other. That's what I got to say.
And so just to piggyback off what Pierre said, to me, but it's more than just protest to me. Like, I'm not gonna say that we're past protesting. What I want to say is that with the information, the great equalizer to, I think, everything in regards to Black people and our advancement is the ability to use information to help each other, right? We're living in a time where you could search, you could just go on your phone, and if it's something that interests you, there's a wealth of information out there. It depends on whether or not you're willing to be open to receive that access. There are people out there who are, again, even though we're physicians, there are people out there who are investors. There are people out there who are entrepreneurs. There are people out there who are using group economics right now. Those are things that are, again, like that are in our ancestry. They're utilizing group economics in order to make change, right? Because not everybody is going to be that CEO, but everybody, like you said, like I heard you say, VONDALE, everybody, all the kids, everybody has a God-given gift that they can utilize in order to catapult themselves and their families to another level. Now, the part of the issue is the lack of mentorship and the lack of access to those people.
That's right.
But there are people out there who are utilizing social media or utilizing the power of YouTube to help others. And so when we say change the narrative, shift the culture, that means yo, whatever it is that you want to do, find your power circle, find your team to be able to create a way to where you change outcomes and you change circumstances. And it doesn't have to be like, you don't have to be the next influential person. Like you don't like, our community needs so much work that we don't need 1 trillion leaders. Like the leadership starts within yourself, right? That you're gonna find a way to make a change within your life. The leadership starts within your home. Like when it comes to like rebuilding or fracturing generational curses, right? And then once you find that team, and once you find that power structure that helps you catapult, that's what's going to help us as a community elevate. So where we're not sitting there standing outside some building protesting all day. Now don't get me wrong.
And I'm past
sometimes that's necessary. That is necessary.
I'm about boycotting.
Yeah,
like,
no, I understand.
Protesting is talking, boycotting is action. Like if you say, look, I'm not gonna give you, we're not getting this or what have you. What happens right now if everybody on the south side of Chicago just said, all right, well, we're not going to a Jewel's, we're not going to a Walmart, we just gonna go into, the small markets of this community and start impacting, that dollar. And then they lose millions from that. Then what happens, right? Or you be like, all right, look, we're gonna fill up this week, and we're not even taking gas. We're not even getting gas for the next week or two or whatever. Then start impacting like the taxes and the tax structure of the city, to where now like Mayor Lightfoot and everybody on the council is looking at it and it's like, man, this week there was a serious impact in the dollar. Now let's listen to what they're talking about, because if they do that again, we're gonna have to start, laying people off from a city perspective, and that's gonna hurt. So now let's listen and start to, put some of these resources where they're at. That comes from unification and actually making a statement with your money. This world revolves around money. When you start moving the money, as people start losing money, then they start to listen. That's the only way they listen.
Well, I just think we could take that same investment, and to me, it shouldn't even take a time like this in order to do that. It's just there. I guarantee you, there are producers in Chicago right now who are persons of color who are ready to service people from their community.
Absolutely.
They're not being supported from people.
Absolutely. You have to be supported. That's the thing.
So they're not supported from people within their
And that's what I'm saying. That's my point.
Are there.
Instead of just shuttling this money off into people and not getting anything back, put our money into black-owned businesses like we did back in the day, and say, all right, well, we're just gonna keep recycling our own dollar. Y'all gonna lose money, and when you're ready to start putting some money into our communities, when you're ready to start actually putting money into Chicago public schools, so these damn kids are not going, here and not being educated and not having any chance. I heard like some study or statistic that they're looking at test scores from the kids in 3rd grade, and that's how they're debating on how they're putting money into jails and prisons. Like, wouldn't it make more sense to put money into trying to educate these damn 3rd grade kids instead of putting the money into these damn jails and prisons, right? But that's not happening, is because we're not demanding for that to happen.
Yeah, and I think it's correct. That's why we have to get this information, right? Come together, unite. And I think the whole support, that's why when I heard about Pulse of Perseverance, I'm like, man. And then I was honored when y'all asked me to be a board member. I was like, whoa, these guys are serious. And it wasn't hey, we got a corner on this thing. It was like, let's partner together and let's use what you got and let's bring it together. And I'm like, okay, let's use y'all, bring y'all to the Champs Born to Win conference. Share y'all story, share y'all narrative. And now we working together across not just the city, but across the world. And then we bringing these resources back to our community. Why? Is because we had the struggle just like our young brothers and our sisters, right? And so now we have this moral obligation to come back like the Harriet Tubman, give the information so we can free everybody. Now, it's going to be some people like, nah, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, right? And you're going to die in the wilderness. But if you say, you know what, I won't change, I'm tired of this, it's not working, let's unite, come together, and create our own, like the Tulsa Black Wall Street. And it was, of course, 1921, we know what happened. But the reality of it is we have power and unity. I got two questions from the audience. One question came, it says, a lot of black people from Lindsay Dates, who's a good friend of mine, a lot of black people have asthma. What are the main differences in symptoms? Yeah, I believe from COVID-19. You can clarify, but I'm believing. Is there like a difference that we can tell?
So I just, like I said, I said this earlier in the show. With COVID, the way your body reacts to it, you have no idea, right? So usually a person with asthma, if they're having like an acute asthma attack, they have wheezing, right? And they may have some coughing with that as well. The difference is with COVID is that COVID, you can pick up the disease and you can be an asymptomatic carrier, meaning that you can have it and it could be a latent phase. It could be a period of 5 days where you feel absolutely nothing, right? And then all of a sudden on day 5, there's a multitude of symptoms you can have. It doesn't just mean you don't necessarily have to have shortness of breath. You can have, there are some patients who are coming in and saying that they had a lack of taste, like they couldn't taste anything. They couldn't taste their food. There's some people who are saying that they had no smell, right? They couldn't smell anything. There's some people who are actually saying that, they thought they just had a stomach virus. They were having like extreme cramps. And the reason why you have such a broad range of those symptoms is because when the virus, again, I don't want to get too technical or medical with the terminology to lose people. But what happens is it's like your immune system. You have the cells that within your immune system that are trying to attack the virus. They are attacking they're going to any organ system within your body. Some patients are coming in with chest pain. And when we actually do the studies and we do the investigation, those patients have something called viral myocarditis, which is basically an inflammation of the protective layer around your heart. So COVID itself is, and again, and mind you, I haven't mentioned nothing about fever or cough or chills, right? So the way it's presenting, we're still learning as a medical community as we go. The symptoms are so broad and so varied that no, you don't necessarily have to have fever and shortness of breath and cough. Now, of course, if you have those things, you go get tested. But again, the virus is so nonspecific right now because your immune system is just attacking everything, both normal and abnormal cells, and affecting different organs within your body.
Got it.
And VONDALE, I put a footnote on that, and that's one thing I wanted to say. Is that we always talk about hypertension, we talk about diabetes, but asthma in itself plays a big factor in the health of African Americans. And realize that when you're in that asthmatic state or exacerbation, that your lungs are compromised. So the virus and that coming together puts you in an immunocompromised state. Okay, so you'll get a worse reaction to it. So that's something to keep in mind also.
Got it. Another quick question came in. So there's a rumor out there that if you had it, you're immune to it. Can you guys dispel that rumor?
Yeah, that's definitely a rumor. And I just want to, again, the misinformation is crazy out there, right? And right now, this is what we know, and again, because we're living in a time where, as people in the medical community, the information is coming so rapidly, and we're learning about this thing every day. There are cases in Wuhan, China, right now, right, where you have people who contracted the virus, had symptoms, were hospitalized, went home, and they're coming back again.
So you can get it again.
Same virus. You can get it again. So let's just dispel that rumor right now. And again, it's just we just don't know enough about this thing, right? But the information
it's different strains of it too. Like
there are different strands of it, and that's the problem. There are different strains.
Not just COVID-19.
Yeah. So there are different strains of it that are out there right now, and so people are becoming reinfected. And I wish we could say, oh yeah, once you have it, you'll never get it again. It lives within your body. It's a virus. You have it. If you are one of the fortunate ones that don't succumb to it, do not get it twisted. It's like saying, I'm gonna put it to you. This is the best way I can put it. People get the flu, right? Once they get the flu the first time, does that make them immune from ever getting the flu again in their lives? Absolutely not. Right. And that's the best way I can describe that myth for the question that caller just had.
You can develop an immunity to that particular strain. That is a fact. But the problem is when you're getting tested for COVID, there are multiple different strains that we're testing for. So you may have an immunity for a particular strain of it, but you may get infected with an entirely different strain of it as well, too. So it doesn't mean that, you are completely immune, like Max was saying. You do have some antibodies that are helpful, that put you a little bit ahead of the game as to the next person is completely unexposed from anything, but it does not mean that you good. It doesn't mean you good forever and you can just chill. You still have to be on a heightened awareness and alert, from getting a new strand of the virus in, because you can still get sick.
Wow. Hey, listen, everybody, I just want to come in real quick and say this. If you had it, didn't know you had it, you can get it again. And once you get it again, you can continue to spread it again. Does that make sense? And so it's really important, guys, that we are in the middle of a war. We got to take this seriously. Get the information, apply this information, share the information. Why? So that you can preserve you, yourself, your family, your community, and all the people that you love. We don't want to be spreading this thing unaware because of lack of information or myths that are out there. Because that's the newest myth. It's like, you build up immune and you can't get it again once you got. Listen, y'all heard what Dr. Max and Dr. Pierre just said. Okay, so it's very important, again, that we not just walking around because we not actually demonstrating these symptoms. I'm not necessarily coughing or whatever. I have to make sure that I am taking precaution. I'm practicing, if I have to go out for essential purposes, social distancing. If you have a mask or scarf or whatever, you covering the openings up so you're not spreading it. I believe you said, Dr. Max, that we can get it through the air, the environment. It can spread that way. So again, guys, man, I just want to take this time. I know we had another question, but I'm going to respect y'all time because I know y'all on the front lines. I want to say I love you guys, man, so much. Y'all my brothers. I appreciate y'all, man. And anytime y'all need me for anything, you already got me, baby.
We already know.
Hey, Dr. Joe, man, our prayers are with you, my brother.
I appreciate it.
Any lasting words, fellas, you want to let everybody know?
And you know how we rocking, man. Time to change the narrative, time to shift the culture, man. No matter what you want to be. We don't care if you want to be, whether it's blue collar work, whether it's white collar work, there's plenty of time, space, and opportunity for you to change your immediate environment and change your circumstances to help us get to a level where we can think beyond like they say, think beyond your ancestors' wildest dreams. We're still this ain't over, man, and it's gonna take it's a group effort, it's a community effort, but we're all in this together, man, regardless.
And I would say positivity is never popular. But with that being said, if we want change, actually start getting behind positive things. C.H.A.M.P.S is out here, Pulse of Perseverance is out here, what have you. Like, we shouldn't be begging for y'all attention and begging for likes. Like, we need your help. We need your support. In order to change the narrative, shift the culture, we have to have you all behind us. Like, we need that. Like, for C.H.A.M.P.S and for you to be doing what you're doing, VONDALE, which is completely commendable. And I give my 100% support to it. We should have everybody behind that. We want to see these young black boys stop killing each other out here in these streets, stop doing the craziness out here. Like, we have to actually get behind programs that are empowering, that are giving opportunities, that are supplying resources, that are giving more than just what we see out here in the media. They're giving these kids other options and opportunities. We have to put our resources and our energies and our efforts behind these programs that are out here so that we can make a difference.
Cool.
And last but not
Oh yeah, go ahead, Dr. Joe. I'm sorry.
only thing I would say is last but not least, we have to remember that this is not the time to envy anyone. Instead, we need to unite, come together, and help each other out. You be the leader of your village and help your neighbor.
Absolutely. So I'm about to put y'all information on the screen, y'all links. If you can just share with everybody, y'all links to donate, that will be awesome.
Well, our website is www.thepulseof3.com. That's www.thepulseof3.com. And on there, you can not only find, more about our backgrounds and our story, but also, of course, if you're kid and you're driven and you're in high school or you're in college and you listening to what we're saying and you completely all in with it, we do have resources for you. One of those resources in the form of multi-scholarship. We give $1,000 a month to a high school kid or a kid in college who's just trying to better themselves because they know, they got more to, there's